And welcome back to Nectaris stage number 5 Mutant, and let's jump right into it. So as you see, this time I'm on the top and the AI on the bottom. There's really no consistency with these things. And you also see things continuing to get a little bigger, a little more complex, and, well, perhaps a little more tilted in the AI's favor. So now there are already 4 neutral depots, sort of 2 on my side and 2 on their side. There are also some new units that I can introduce you to. So the first one, and we actually see 2 of them on my side and 1 on the AI side, is right here, the MB5 Rabbit. So MB, well, I guess it's supposed to stand for missile buggy, but it's not, it's a laser buggy. So you see this unit has a very high ground attack with a very low defense, and it also has something important, 8 movement. So that's the fastest ground unit we've seen so far. And also you see at the very bottom of the description there's something important. It can retreat after attacking. So there are a lot of things you can do with that. You can attack and then move into position for a surround or support. You can attack and then retreat behind another more defensive unit, or you can attack and head directly for a depot. This is a unit actually that I have to admit I'm not great at using. The AI is probably better at it than I am. But there you go. There are quite a few of these buggies in several maps, so they are pretty important. Another new unit, you see one here on the AI side, is the TT1 Lenin. This is actually the weakest tank type unit in the game. It has an attack of only 45, a pretty weak defense of 30, and a low movement of 5, comparable to other slower tanks. But again, it's still it's a decent unit. It's best used, in support or surround, in which case it can still provide a decent punch. So, it's not something to base your attack on, but it's certainly not something to ignore. Let me then check the depots. This depot is essentially mine. We have the Lennet, and then we also have another new unit, the MM107 Hawkeye. So if you play something like Advanced Wars, this is basically a rocket. It has very high anti-air attack only, a high range of 5, but no ground capabilities whatsoever. We go to this middle depot, find a Polar and a Seeker, both things we've seen before. So being that there are these anti-air units, you'd probably suspect that yes, on the enemy side we have air units, and he has this EF-88 Hunter. So you see it's a fighter bomber. It has very high both ground and air attack, and a high movement of 11, and even decent defense. This is really probably the best unit in the game, and somehow it seems like they're always on the enemy's side of the field or in their depots. We also have another buggy, the MB4 Lynx. So this is a very interesting buggy. It actually doesn't have a tremendously high movement of only 60 and very weak defense. But you do see it has 2 range. So even though its attack isn't very high, it can be very annoying. It can move into position, attack, maybe kill off 1 or 2 units, and then retreat. Because it's not a direct unit, it can't benefit from surrounds and supports, but it can certainly help to create them by moving into position. So this is a very interesting unit. Finally, this other bunker that's almost certainly going to go to the enemy contains 1 more new tank, a Titan. So this is a pretty good overall tank. It has 60 attack, 50 power, and 5 movement isn't great, but it's certainly better than some of the really slow tanks like the Polar. So as usual, first priority is going to be to advance toward these bunkers. I will be able to capture them both on the next turn. Unfortunately, the enemy will be able to capture this bunker on his first turn, and this one on his second turn, and there's really very little I can do about it. So where to next? This Grizzly is not going to be able to get into position to attack. Neither is this Bison. So instead I'm going to place them essentially supporting each other. Of course they might still be able to surround their Bison, but they'll be putting themselves in a bad position. And actually, I'm going to sort of create a V formation here. I don't want to attack with this rabbit on the first turn, because all I'm going to be doing is getting 1 attack, not being able to retreat, and then almost certainly get swarmed on my turn. So I'm going to back up here Actually, I'm going to go all the way back behind the line of tanks. So my buggies are both safe, and I can unleash them on the next turn. And that is turn 1. So you see the AI already up to 8 units compared to my 6. So when you see a buggy attacks a tank, it's actually a pretty fair fight. The buggy has superior attack, and the tanks have superior defense. So as you see there, 4 losses on both sides. Now he's going to try to take me out immediately with the support effect. So you see the Lennet not quite able to get the job done, unfortunately. And immediately he moves out the Hunter. So this is the first of the scenarios where the AI really has, an initial advantage. And of course I'm able to go right back, and with these heavy units, the Polar, and also the Seeker. So this Bison badly needs to get to a depot. Again, really, nope, no, not there. Luckily you can right click to cancel. So I have my own Lennet here, and also the Hawkeye. So again, probably one of the real main concepts of this game is when do you move forward and when do you back off and retreat to a depot to heal. So my rabbit with the surround and the support should very easily be able to take out this enemy rabbit. Unfortunately my tank is so. This is crucial here. This is where you can move to create more support or surround. My main goal right now is to get this Bison to the depot. In order to do that, I need to remove this Lennet because its zone of control is stopping movement. So what I'm going to do is move down here, which gives me support against this Lennet and an optimal pattern for surrounding. So I'm going to come down with the Grizzly here and get what should be a huge shot with the surround and multiple supports against the poor old Lennet, which all explode very easily with absolutely no losses. And now this Bison is going to be able to go to the depot and go straight from 2 to 8. And finally our last rabbit. Unfortunately for AI, he left this Bison a little exposed. I don't know if he thought tanks could capture depots or what, but it's not going to work out too well for him because my buggy right here is going to be able to attack with support. No surround, unfortunately, but still should be a decent amount of damage. And that was all my buggy's movement, so no more right there. So both depots are red, everyone is moved, and that's the end of turn 2. I think that went quite well. So he captures the last depot. So my main problem now is going to be that Hunter. It moves fast, it hits hard, and it's not easy to deal with. The rabbit goes down. Again, you'll probably hear me do this many times over the next 90 so stages. I'm not a huge fan of the buggies. They're good at moving fast and getting hits. Everything else, I don't care too much if I lose them after they've done their job. Especially the Lynx. They're decent against very lightly armored units like rabbits, as you're probably about to see. Against tanks, well, more often than not, they're just poking. But, well, a decent turn for the AI. He's moving out his Kilroy and his Titan. I'm really going to have to deal with this Hunter very soon. So, zones of control, well, I mean, there is a zone of control in play, but the Hunter has so much movement it can just easily go around and reach up to here. So I have 2 tools to deal with the Hunter. The main one is going to have to be this Hawkeye. The problem is it's an indirect unit. So if this Hunter comes in and attacks the Hawkeye, it can't retaliate, and so I'm basically losing it. So you have to really plan here. First off, I need to remove some of these other units. This Bison, I don't want it to be able to retreat, which it can, and which the AI will do. So might even be able to get a preemptive strike on the Hunter. I'm going to take the Polar and fire here. This may seem like overkill, and it is, but what I really want is to be able to save the rabbit to move and get support on the hunter. And one more thing, Grizzly is going to direct his ire toward the lynx, which again is an indirect fire unit, so it will not be able to fire back, and also has pitiful defense, so it blows up real well. So the rabbit, so this is where buggies are actually very useful. So the rabbit is going to move down here and fire on the lynx. Unless I'm very unlucky and I'm not, this should destroy it, because again, I absolutely do not want the lynx to retreat to a depot. Then, I move down here with zone of control gone into flanking position. Now, the Seeker comes in, we have a complete surround and we fire on the hunter. So that is how you use the buggy to gain the advantage on enemy units. The hunter is down to 2, it cannot retreat unless the enemy blows up one of my units, which it might with the Slagger, unfortunately. But I have at the very least dealt substantial damage to the hunter and forced it to retreat. Now the Hawkeye moves in, and the Linnet follows. Of course, if the Slagger can move up, but if it follows the Hawkeye, if it attacks the Hawkeye, then these 2 units are going to remain where they are, kill the hunter on the next turn. If it kills the rabbit, well, the hunter may be able to get away, unfortunately, but I'll have a massive advantage and be able to push down into where the enemy enemy territory. So once again, on turn 3, I've gained a substantial advantage. And the enemy does, well, neither of the 2 things I was expecting them to do. Instead, they focus on an infantry unit completely out of the battle. And the hunter is going to try to get off a parting shot, which, well, I guess it does. It also moves my rabbit to full XP, which may not quite save it from the shot from this Titan, and it doesn't. But that's not going to be a tremendous help to the hunter, which is going to get blown up on the next turn by my Seeker. Seeker Hunter. How appropriate. 1.4. If those were reversed, I would have been quite mad, but they're not. So the enemy's main threat is destroyed, and my tanks can go to town on the enemy's 4 units, consisting of 2 tanks and 2 infantry. Actually, no, this Charlie's going to move up here and not fire. So now, I have what I'm always looking for, which is a full surrender. Poor Slagger never saw it coming. Okay, this... Actually, no, the Linnet's going to finish things off. No. So again, this is one of the core ideas of this game. Even the Linnet, the worst tank in the game, can become an incredibly formidable fighting force with the benefit of a surround and support. So, Polar moves into position first, takes a shot at the Titan, which is pretty similar stats. Ooh, 2.0, I don't even need the Bison. Most of the Titans blow up. Now the Bison does a little circle here, has a full surround on the Titan, and even if I had gotten 2 bad random chances, instead of a good one and an average one, that Titan would do it. And just like that, the enemy is down to 2 infantries, and this Hawkeye can plant himself on the hill and watch the rest of the battle. And now the enemy infantry will proceed to wander around aimlessly while I win. Again, I wish they knew how to surrender. They clearly know when they've lost, because they start, I mean, you can see they just start moving random places, not moving at all, doing basically nothing. But they're AI, they just don't know any better. It's sort of sad. They don't fight toward the bitter end, but they have nothing better to do than to stay in the game and watch as everything they fought so hard for goes down the drain. Can the polar get there? Of course the polar can get there. And so can the bison. At least this will be a quick, if painful, death. Five down, 3 to go. Thank you all, probably one here. Thank you all once again for watching Nectaris episode 5. Next stage 6 is Seneca. You will hopefully see that next week. If you enjoyed this, or especially if you didn't, I hope you can leave a comment, like, maybe subscribe. I don't know, it may be asking a little too much, but please comment, please tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, if I can improve. And I hope to see you again next week with stage number 6, Seneca.